and welcome to Making Finances Sexy. I'm Jessica I, your Rent Rave owned realtor and certified instructor with the company 101 Financial. Right here in the Valley of the Sun, it's my mission to help you move from renting to homeownership, no matter your situation. I'm here to be your personal finance coach and first time home buyer specialist. And with me is Rose Short.
What's up, guys? Red Queen here. Come down the rabbit hole with me. I am a realtor here in the Phoenix Valley, as well as CEO of Kronika Luxury and a financial consultant. It's my mission to help you build multiple income streams, live that time freedom life, enjoy the life you have, and just all around be financially independent.
Whoop, whoop. And today we're diving into a topic that can either strengthen or strain a relationship. That's talking about money with your partner. Let's face it, we all know this is important, but it can be awkward or intimidating. But the good news is it really doesn't have to be.
Yes, communication is so important, and financial communication can really make or break a relationship.
Yeah. So I remember when my partner, Kalani, and we sat down for our first big money talk. It was back on Maui when we were trying to move out of his parents' house to our own rental. It was pretty stressful. I'm happy that we were in 99 Financial at the time, the beginner's course, and we were just plugging in the numbers into our plans. And my account, like the cash flow, was going way negative if we would have moved into this first place that we kind of had our eyes set on and we went to go see in person. We fell in love with it and everything. But plugging in the numbers to my plan, it looked like it wouldn't work out. And that made me super upset. And I was just telling him, no, let's just do it. Like, we can do it. He's like, look at the numbers. We're like, it's too expensive for us to afford. And I was just blinded by, no, we need to get out of your family's house. Like, it's already straining our relationship being here. We need our own place. But acting in that emotion did not help whatsoever. And we ended up moving on and looking at other properties until we found one that worked financially for us.
Yeah, tools like that are so helpful, right? Because it does take the emotion out of it and it just looks at the data, which can be super beneficial.
Yeah, because if we would have just moved in and then started struggling those like months after and still not looking at any type of financial plan, that causes a lot more stress in the relationship because now you're like, where's all my money going? And you're both just struggling to make ends meet and getting stuck in that paycheck to paycheck cycle just to keep the place over your head and things like that. So that's why it amazes me that there's still people out there that aren't paying attention to their finances.
Yeah, well, and especially if one person makes a lot more, right? But you're splitting the bills evenly, and then that person who does make money wants to go out and do things, and like you have to be the one to be like, no, we can't. I'm broke. Like, why do you always want to go out and do stuff? I'm broke. You know this. Like, it just becomes a cycle essentially.
Yeah. So, starting the conversation about money with your partner, I'd start with honesty and transparency. Being open and honest about your financial situation is the foundation of a healthy relationship. Financial stress often comes from the secrecy or avoidance. If you're upfront, even about the difficult stuff, you'll build trust and find solutions together. There's so many people that will lie or try to hide certain debts, and that is a biggie in relationships. Like, finding out about a secret to me personally is worse than just being upfront about a shitty debt. Oh, excuse me.
No, I agree. There's nothing worse than had this happen with friends, right? Like you get into a committed relationship and then discover they have a gambling problem. Like,
Mhm.
and it's an addiction, so yeah, it's understanding that it's embarrassing and whatnot, but you got to be open and honest about these things because it affects like your habits and your problems with money affects your partner, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah, and make it a judgment-free zone. Don't get angry at your partner for poor decisions of the past. Like, the goal isn't to criticize how your partner has handled their money. Instead, focus on building a financial future together from where you both are now. We've all made mistakes in our lives, so just move on.
Yes.
And it's like Rose said, there is some emotion involved with our personal finances, but having a solid financial plan can help limit those emotions. So people are in fear, guilt, and sometimes shame that's involved. But the moment that we acknowledge that, it becomes easier to have more constructive conversations than just, that was a biggie for me. I would beat myself up for my poor financial choices or seeing that I'm negative cash flow and things like that. It really doesn't get us anywhere. We just want to figure out a way to be better.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, not funny, haha, but Americans, we have such a bad relationship with both money and food. And it's so easy to get over those hurdles. It's a mindset shift more than anything. And it's talking about it. Like that's it. You have to talk about it.
Exactly. And we did an episode on money mindset, so check that out.
We did.
Another thing when you're getting started with talking to your partner about money, pick the right time and place. I've had Kalani bring up stuff right before we're about to fall asleep and go to bed. Like, and I'm always like, every time, not every time, but like when it happens, it's just so frustrating because I'm like, I'm trying to go to bed right now, and you just brought this thing up, and now my brain's firing and I'm feeling upset and I can't go to sleep, you know?
Oh,
So try.
public is mine. I'm like, don't bring this up in a restaurant. Like, we don't need to talk about this here.
Exactly. So trying to talk about finances after a long day at work or during a fight, definitely during a fight is not ideal. Pick a time when you're both relaxed, able to focus. Kalani and I like to schedule regular money talks. That way there's no surprises and we're not rushed. A good day for us is typically Sunday because he's off work at his full-time job, and we're more relaxed getting ready for the new week. So for us, Sunday is a good day to have these money talks.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And small, consistent conversations about money are much less stressful than waiting until something big happens. When we break it down, for example, instead of trying to tackle everything in one talk, maybe one week focus on your budgeting and the next week focus on your savings, what your goals are and how you're going to get there.
And then everyone's financial background is different as well, right? So you got to factor that into it.
Yes. Yeah, that everyone has their own financial history. Your partner might have grown up in a family that never talked about money, or maybe they were taught to save everything. Understanding where they're coming from can make a big difference in the conversation. And it's fun. Like, both of us don't come from great financial backgrounds, so we're learning and growing together, and it's an experience for sure. But like, make it more enjoyable. This is your person that you want to be with, so maybe try to make it a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
And knowing your partner's financial habits can help you build a plan that works for both of you. Maybe one of you loves spreadsheets and the other prefers apps. Find that balance, but definitely start by writing out your individual financial goals, then compare and align them.
Yeah, I think that's super important before you mix finances to have that individually figured out.
Yeah, you want your financial goals as a couple should reflect both of your dreams, but maybe one of you wants to save for a vacation, but your other partner is focused on paying off debt. And it's okay to have those individual goals. It's just about finding a balance between the shared goals and personal ambitions. So work on saving for that vacation, but at the same time, you can allocate some funds to paying off your debt quicker.
Nice.
We always talk about starting with small, measurable goals in money talks with your partner, building an emergency fund or paying off a credit card. Once you hit these, you can take on bigger goals like buying a house. 101 Financial helps students break these down into more manageable steps, which removes some of the stressfulness from the conversation because you're thinking about, I have all this debt I need to pay off, or I'm never going to save for that vacation. And you just start getting stressed out because these tasks can be really, really big, or these goals can be really, really big, buying a house, but just breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. That's really all we can do.
And track.
Mm-hmm.
And then we always talk about this too, celebrate small wins, right? So like maybe it's, you're past the interest on a certain card, or maybe you paid off a certain card or anything like that. Like obviously don't celebrate by going out and spending a ton of money, but you can still celebrate together at home, those little financial wins.
Yes, that keeps us motivated and again, bringing more fun into the relationship and the financial aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to divide the responsibilities, play into each other's strengths. Not every partner needs to handle everything, although I know there's a lot of relationships out there that do. Typically, like what I've seen is women handling the finances while the men are bringing in the bread or whatever. And that's totally fine. Like, do what works for you. But in my opinion, each partner should be involved in the financial aspect, because even when you're making money, that's personal finance. And like, I don't want to be morbid, but what if something happens to your partner? What happens to your finances after that? You kind of be thrown through a loop. Your stress will be elevated because you had no idea what was going on with the finances. And that can get people into really crappy situations when they unfortunately lose their partner that was handling their plan for them. So definitely recommend getting involved in the personal finances if your spouse or partner is the one handling it.
Yeah, and that's also where life insurance can come in handy too, right? Like you can have life insurance on your partner if you guys share a living space and whatnot, because your quality of life is contingent on their income. So if their income's suddenly gone and you have an emergency fund, a life insurance policy can be what makes or breaks you.
Yes, and there's so many people out there that don't have life insurance, and that's crazy to me too. Like, if you're watching or listening to this, please look into life insurance, especially when you're younger, because the premium's a lot less.
Yeah, a lot less.
So when we divide our responsibilities, if one of you is great at organizing the bills, then do that. But maybe the other one is better at handling the investments and researching the big purchases. Just play into your strengths, communicate with your partner. Like, I'm great at spreadsheets, so I've been handling that with Kalani and I when we bought our house, because that's like a whole separate finances and expense. So I'm making a spreadsheet that we both have access to that lays out the exact expenses of this home and things. So, and he's really good at organizing the bills and setting up our accounts and paying the bills, just divide it that way.
That makes sense. Yeah, and make sure like, because so often what happens too is like one partner will allocate like a credit card to the other partner, right? And then not tell them what the budget is for that credit card. And then like they keep getting frustrated because the credit card keeps like going over their perceived budget, but maybe their partner doesn't know what the budget is. Or maybe the partner needs check-ins of like, hey, by the way, it's Monday, you've already spent this much. That means you have this much left till Friday. Like, maybe think more carefully about it, or even just have them tell you, like, if you're gonna spend anything over like $100, give me a heads up, because I gotta make sure that we have it there to pay it back.
Yes, it's all about balance. We mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but it's just huge in relationships and money is don't hide your debt. It doesn't get you anywhere. There's no shame in it because we all have it. I mean, again, say we all have it, but majority has it. Hiding it from your partner only creates more problems. Be honest about credit card debt, student loans, all of it. Together, you can come up with a plan to manage it, and it's super empowering that way. And it's healthy for your relationship. If you're hiding your debt, what else are you hiding is going through your partner's head. So, just being open and honest up front, that can also make or break the relationship. And if we catch all this in the front end, if this person, like, it's sad to say, but if they're really in a bad position, then you need to make the decision if you want to move forward with this person. It's a difficult conversation, but you got to think about your well-being and what your goals are, and if you're in this much better financial position to keep growing and building, you got to just take into consideration, because that might slow down your aspirations, because you got to help manage your partner and what their situation is.
Yeah, and especially with credit, right? So the United States, so much of what we do relies on credit, and a lot of states are community property. So once you're married, you have to have both people's credit involved. And sometimes that means that your buying power is going to go down because maybe you have fantastic credit and your partner has terrible credit. And they're probably taking the steps to make it better. But factor that in, because as terrible as people will think don't get married if they have bad credit sounds, like, you have to think long term. You have to think about, are we trying to buy a house? Are we trying to get vehicles? Like, we need credit to do these things. So, you can be in a romantic relationship and not be married because of financial and logical reasons.
Exactly. No, I think just talking about it up front, that planning for the future together, that's a biggie. And it's a lot easier when you both already have like financial planning systems in place. I talk about 101 financial a lot because obviously, um, whether it's investing or saving for retirement or managing your expenses more effectively, just having that structured plan will make those big goals seem less daunting. And it's a lot easier to show your partner, like, this is what I got going on. This is my monthly debt payments, my expenses, and this is how much I have in my savings. Like, just having it all structured out and communicating about it takes so much strain off of the relationship. And then you can focus on other things like doing things with your partner, taking care of yourself. Like, a lot of benefits come from having sound financial health.
I
So,
saw a thing recently
oh
that
no,
said a goal without a timeline is simply a dream. And that is so true. Like, especially when we talk about money, like, you can dream about that vacation all you want, but if you're not putting a goal or a timeline to it, then it's just a dream.
exactly. So, to wrap up, the main thing we want you to remember is that talking about money with your partner is all about honesty, teamwork, and consistency. Understand where each of you are coming from, set goals together, and check in regularly. It's definitely not about being perfect, it's about being a team. And if you can't figure that one out, maybe you shouldn't be in the relationship. And it
Yeah,
might,
people don't want to think about breaking up because of finances, but it's what drives 50% of divorces. So it's a real theme.
yes. And if you're somebody with kids, kids feel that stress too in the relationship big time. Like, any financial hardship, it's just ugly for the individuals involved, but also the people around them that they care about. So, and it's so easy to get help with your finances and get yourself out of these stressful situations. It's just taking a step to decide to.
Exactly. And don't get scared off. Like, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to ask you to do things that are uncomfortable, but that's how you grow. And by not doing those uncomfortable things, you're just going to be stuck where you currently are.
Yeah. And it feels awkward and challenging, but it gets easier. The more you talk about money, the better you'll both feel about your finances and your relationship. And this week, I challenge you guys to schedule a time to have that first money talk with your partner. I hope you use these tips to guide the conversation and let us know how it goes by sharing your experiences or questions with us in the comments or on our social medias. There is also going to be a link in the description if you're interested in learning more about 101 Financial and scheduling your free private consultation with me.
Yes, and I'll also post a link to my girl Deja's calendar if you're interested in life insurance.
Yes. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope you found these tips helpful. If you loved today's episode, make sure to hit subscribe and don't forget to leave us a review. Until next time, keep those money conversations going and work toward building your financial future. And next week, Rose is going to talk about knowing when and how to say no in business.
Super important.
Yeah.